Wait a minute, I hear something.
Dr. Movie! Dr. Movie! Blueberry News! Dr. Movie! Dr. Movie! Yeah!
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode, seasonal episode of Dr. Movie. And let me be the first to say, season's beatings. Pulling out another Christmas classic. Not your average everyday Christmas movie that you share with the family, but possibly the most controversial Christmas movie. I mean, Black Christmas is, pretty controversial for the time, but I think because of when this came out, you're on the cusp of all the censoring hoopla that happened in the 80s because of the PMRC. You're censoring the music and stuff, and I think parents are starting to worry about the stuff that my generation was getting into, which, that's fair. I get it. But, you can pull up videos of people, protesting this movie when it came out, Silent Night, Deadly Night, in 1984, because, you're making Santa Claus go around killing people. What's that going to do to little kids, right? Well, just like everything we talk about, it's one thing to, if you do an overview and say, yeah, that's what's happening, that's one thing. But when you actually see the movie and see what's happening, it's not as big of an issue as we made it out to be, because he's not really Santa Claus. Because we know the real Santa Claus would never kill a bunch of people, right? Right. Yeah, man, this thing, I remember seeing news reports and parents picketing, and, people made this movie ought to be in jail, and, it was a big deal. Did it deserve all that? Well, it made the movie popular. You can give it that, right? Because bad publicity is good publicity. Any publicity is good publicity, because if nobody's talking about you, good or bad, they're not talking about you. So take that for what it is. 1984, it's called a horror/crime movie. I don't know. Is it a crime movie? There's a lot of crime going on, but to the extreme. You're not going to see Dirty Harry pop up in this movie, right? It's not that, right? So, anywho, let's do a little review on it here. We got Charles Sellier, however you want to say it, directed this. Who is known for? Is he known for anything else? Hold on, I messed up my screen here. Well, yeah, he is. He's known for Grizzly Adams. He did the remake. That's interesting. I didn't know he did the remake. Why would he want to do the remake? That's a different question for another show. He did the Boogans. Hangar 18. Okay. Dude's a little more legit than I thought he was. See, folks, this is how I do my research. I do it live and in front of you. So I reveal behind the curtain that I really don't know as much about these movies as you think I do. I kind of have to look and see, because, that's what Google's for, right? That's right. Let's do a pint-sized seasonal synopsis here. An orphan raised by nuns grows up to be a killer toy store Santa Claus. Well, that's as cut and dry as you can get it. That's pretty nuts. That's all we got there. So yeah, why do we watch this movie? Well, it's violent and terrifying, and they don't give it 2 words. Usually it's 3. We got a 2-word, a twofer this time, right? Let's see. Silent Night, Deadly Night is fun, sleazy horror film that doesn't take itself too seriously and is a blast to watch. That's right where it sits with me. It knows what it is, and it lives there, man. I kind of like it. It's certainly solid and entertaining, and well worth your time to be sure. In short, you'll get a kick out of it, or a hatchet to the face. Silent Night, Deadly Night is cheesy and sleazy. Now, there's you a name for a podcast. Cheesy and sleazy. I'll have to work on that. But still supremely terrifying because of its unique texture. I don't know if its unique texture makes it terrifying, but I do like the idea. It's the same thing that worked for Falling Down, right? Where Michael Douglas loses it. He just, he got triggered, folks. And that's kind of what happens here, but it's like multiple triggers being pulled at the same time. It got a 5.8 out of 10. Yeah, I can dig that. Let's see here. There's really nobody to talk about in the cast that's really gone on to do anything else. I may be wrong there, but I just feel like, well, you got Linnea Quigley in this, which, boobs. I mean, that's kind of her trademark. I mean, there you go. That's why she gets hired. And her gleaming personality. She is very nice. I've met her a few times, and yeah, super nice. But, it is what it is. Anywho, let's talk about this one. I love the setup. I really, really do. I love the fact that it starts off with the two kids with the parents riding down the road. The son's asking about Santa Claus. They're going to visit the grandfather who's in a retirement home, I guess. And they go to see him, and he's pretty much comatose. He's just sitting in a chair and looking. And when the parents leave, he grabs the little boy and starts telling him about how scary Santa Claus is. And he punishes, he rewards the good kids, but he punishes the bad ones, which scares him to death because now he's going, well, wait a minute. I mean, I'm just a normal kid. I haven't been good all the time. So now the kid doesn't want Santa Claus to come. And what a scene. And then it just leads into this guy that's dressed like Santa Claus that's robbing a store, gets in his car, stops on the side of the road, happens to stop this family on their way back to wherever they're going, home, I guess, or wherever they're traveling to. Kills both the parents, and the little boy sees it all, and his little brother's in a car seat, who's even a younger kid. It's just a baby, right? Which is kind of weird when you watch this movie, because the age difference between when they're kids and the age difference when they're towards the end of the movie. In other words, in 1971, they're at this age, and then in 84, it looks like a big drastic difference in the ages of the kids. Just saying. Just one of those things I kind of went, I don't know. I mean, if anything, the other kid's only, 5-6 years older than the little brother. I don't know, maybe 8. But when you get later on in the movie, and this guy's obviously in his 20s, and the other kid's like, I don't know, 10. I don't know. Something weird happened there. Anywho, it's a movie. Who cares? But I love. I mean, the movie's brutal for the time that it came out and being an independent film. The effects are what the effects are. Some of them come off really good. Like when the guy got shot behind the counter there at the convenience store by the Santa Claus, looks really good. It looks like Dawn of the Dead quality. It's pretty dang good. Some of them you can tell is just kind of a blood tube on the side of a knife blade. That way when they drag the knife, it causes a blood track. It's okay. Some of the effects are really good for where this movie sits. And then some of them you just kind of go, but you're still okay with it because it works. The storytelling, as crazy as it is, it works. And I think this movie kind of gets a bad rep because of all the ones that follow, because they are, they're sequels. I mean, you know how that goes. Not even in the same league. And that's a shame. And I think the idea of, hey, this is one of those ideas where you could take the original story and make something bigger out of it, but we kind of missed the mark with the remake. It's a shame that happens a lot. But I think this one is solid. I love my favorite scene in the whole movie. Of course, again, we skipped it. You go through his childhood where he's raised in an orphanage. He sees they're doing the kids are all drawing pictures of Christmas time. And he drew his, and he's all proud of it, wants to hang it on the board. And it's like Santa Claus with his eyes X'd out and his head chopped off and a bunch of knives stabbed in his chest. And one of the reindeers got its head cut off. He's going hardcore, man. He gets in trouble at the school. Mother Superior tells him that he can't do that, and he seems like he's definitely got trauma because he saw his parents killed before his own eyes by Santa Claus on the side of the road. And him and his brother are now raised in the orphanage. And, he's a little unhinged. He's seen some bad stuff. So, and you get this one nun that works there that she's a little afraid of him, but at the same time, she wants to look after him, right? She basically becomes the Dr. Loomis in this movie. I'm throwing that out there because this movie is just, hey, let's take pretty much the whole Halloween movie, but instead of it being an insane asylum, he's in an orphanage. And, when he escapes, but he didn't really escape in this movie, right? He gets reformed, I guess, and they bring him out in society and they send him to work at a toy store of all things that is going to have a big Christmas celebration, and they ask him to dress up as Santa and be Santa for all the kids, which trigger part one. The other one is you're getting triggers of the night of Christmas Eve when the store is shutting down. They have a Christmas party there. He's got some co-workers that are kind of into each other, I guess, and they sneak off in the back room, which he's kind of got the hots for the girl. But he doesn't really care about his co-worker because he's kind of a douche. But she runs off with him, and dude starts making advances on her and basically is like going to rape her. Well, that triggers him again because he sees his mom being kind of manhandled by Santa Claus. And this is where he snaps, right? So now he's in punish mode, which again goes back to his childhood at the orphanage where he is just being a kid and he walks by, hears some noise in the room, he looks in there and one of the nuns is naked with this guy. I'm guessing it's one of the nuns. Maybe it's one of the kids, but they're awful big kids. So Mother Superior goes in there and just starts wailing on him with a belt. And then, dude gets in trouble too because he was just peeking in there. I mean, and she asked him, did you know what they were doing? I have no idea. I've never seen anything like that before. And he still gets whipped over it. But the nun tells him that, punishment is a requirement. It's a necessity. You have to punish, right? So all that all runs out together. And when he sees this guy raping that girl in the back of the store, it all just hits him. So now he's dressed as Santa Claus, and it's time to punish. And he starts with dude, and again with the Michael Myers thing, out of nowhere. I mean, he's a young strapping dude. He gets hired because he's physically able to pick up boxes and stuff. He gets a roll of Christmas lights, wraps it around this dude's neck, and picks him up. He's got this superhuman Michael Myers strength all of a sudden to choke this dude out. And you're thinking, well, okay, dude's asking for it. He's, taking out the bad guy. But he turns right around and kills the girl too because she's being naughty, right? Santa punishes the ones that are naughty. So there you go. And then it just becomes random. I don't know how he knows that Linnea Quigley and this other dude is on a pool table getting naked. Have no idea. Doesn't matter. I think maybe it's the fact that he's walking by the house, just happens to be doo-doo-doo, walking by, and Linnea Quigley decides that she needs to let the cat in. Insert your own joke there. And she goes to call for the cat at the front door with no top on, topless. And, crazy Santa just happens to see and goes, uh-oh, naughty. Bust the door down, pick her up, and, the infamous scene of sticking her on a set of antlers. Right? They even did that in the remake as well. But, and it works. It works. So, and then, of course, he takes care of the boyfriend, too. And then there's a little girl that, again, hey, what if we have a babysitter that's being killed by this maniac? We've never heard of that before. The little girl that's being babysat comes in and goes, Santa, and sees him, right? And he reaches in his pocket and asks the little girl if she's been good girl all year long, and she says yes. And she's all smiley, she's excited, and he said, are you sure? And he pulls out a box cutter, the razor blade box cutters, and a utility knife for you that are not from the South. And, he pulls it out, and you can tell the blade, it looks like it's got either rust or blood all over it. And when he decides that she's been good, that's the gift he gives her. He just hands her the utility knife, and I love the look on her face, because it's just like, gee, thanks, Santa. What is this crap? Right? It's awesome. Anywho, from there, you got Dr. Nunn Loomis, Dr. Nunn Loomis running around trying to calculate his next move. And guess where he ends up? If you were going to rip off Michael Myers and you wanted this to come to a big ending, and he had trauma at this one place, where did Michael Myers go? He went home. Well, our killer don't have a home, but where was he raised? That's right. This is all going to end back at the orphanage, right? So he saddles up, makes his way there, and things happen from there. Not going to ruin it in case you haven't seen this movie, but it's got a pretty cool ending. It does. Kind of sets up a sequel, but I don't think it set up the sequel that we got. Which I'm planning on talking about it just because, right? It's pretty, it's almost more famous than this first one for a totally different reason, right? So there you go. I think this one actually holds up really well. I'd rather watch this one anytime over any of the sequels or even the remake, which I just recently watched to be on Podcast Under the Stairs with my good friend Duncan McLeish, who's been, man, I mean, he's my podcasting hero, man. The guy I call him the machine. I mean, you think I crank out a lot of episodes, that guy, seriously, insomnia. The dude does not sleep. He can't, to put out as many shows as he does. So if you don't listen to Podcast Under the Stairs, you need to make that happen. If you can understand Scottish accent, because sorry, Duncan, some people here from the South go, I can't understand a word that boy's saying. Of course, you probably can't understand what they're saying, so there you go. It is what it is. Anywho, I recommend you check out Podcast Under the Stairs because it is one of the greatest shows ever invented. And as far as this movie, I'm right down the middle with it, man. It's a 3 out of 5 for me. I think it rocks. I think it's a lot of fun to watch. There's nothing cooler than a Santa Claus popping out of somewhere and just saying, punish! And then you get an axe buried in somebody's chest. It just works. It just works. And it's a shame that we haven't been able to capitalize off of that like we should. You know, the only thing that we've been missing out of the series is taking Silent Night, Deadly Night to space. And versus some of the other ones that we saw, probably wouldn't have been a bad idea, especially that one with Mickey Rooney in it. Anywho, folks, that's it for this one. Hope you're having a great season's beatings, and we will check you later.
Dr. Lupe.